All right, I think we have enough people. We got some last minute people. Perfect. All right.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone. All right. So I think with that, I think it's safe to say we can get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our quarterly CalFresh Alliance meeting. For those of you who don't know, my name is John Torres. I am the CalFresh Outreach Manager for the SLO Food Bank. We truly appreciate you guys being here today, especially during this busy holiday season, and for your continued work to support food access throughout our county. Just a heads up as well, this meeting will be recorded. So at the conclusion of this meeting, we will share the recording with the Alliance members. If you have any questions regarding that, please always feel free to reach out to me. As well as today's agenda, today we will have several presenters, as well as Anna Zalik and Monica Celeste from the Department of Social Services, as well as Jen Miller from Public Health, myself, and Savannah Cole Evans from the SLO Food Bank. Following presentations, we will move into a short breakout discussion. You'll be placed into small groups and given several minutes to discuss an assigned question, which afterwards will reconvene and a representative from each group can share key takeaways with the larger group. Any questions before we get started? And feel free to chime in with questions if I can't really see right now, but all right. With that, let's get started. So let's see. I believe our first presenters for today will be Anna and Monica from the Department of Social Services. So I'll turn it over to them. Ladies, go right ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Anna from Department of Social Services. So we always like to start this meeting with looking at where our CalFresh participation trend currently is, the way it's been going over the last quarter. And so all the way on the left, you will see the graph showing from the beginning of 2024 through the end of 2025, where we are now. And this is looking at CalFresh individuals, so individual participants. So I just want to point out this trend that we have is pretty normal. You will see the dip towards the end of 2025, and that is for June through September. Happens in 2024, even happened in 2023, happened again this year. And so this dip from June through September really kind of reflects our CalFresh student population, and we tend to see a dip from them in eligibility because they have summer internships, they get summer jobs, which puts them over income for those summer months, which is why we have that decrease in participation in the summer months. But you'll see it definitely starts to come up as it is in this last data point. This is October, so where we are right now. Well, technically we're in December, but our last data point that we have to show you is from October. In October, it starts to see that increase again. So going through the end of the year. I will point out our dip is a little bit larger this year. So last year that dip reflects about 1,000 individuals. This year it does represent about 2,500 individuals. So currently our most current data point is for October of 2025, and that represents 28,908 individuals participating in CalFresh. Our record high reflects May of 2025, which has 30,850 individuals participating in CalFresh. The second chart, so that middle chart, represents CalFresh households. So currently we have 21,083 CalFresh households in SLO County. Our record high is 22,406 in May of 2025. So you'll see that same type of dip that we just looked at in the individual chart. So we are increasing. We should see that increase going through the end of the year and beginning in 2026. And then lastly, you will see our CalFresh applications received for fall 2025. So in September, this year, we received 3,454 CalFresh applications. Based on the data that we track internally at DSS, so separate than the CalFresh data dashboard, which you'll see on the two previous charts that we just went over, this is our internal data that we look at, and this is technically our record high of applications that we've ever received for CalFresh. We know a big part of this is the students. They make up about 20% of CalFresh individuals, and so So we are excited to see that we've broken a new record in getting applications this fall, which was in September. October, we received 2,457, and in November, we dip a little bit below average. We also know we had the government shutdown in November of 2025, which may reflect the amount of applications received, but overall, a really successful fall. Next slide, please. Okay, so looking at policy changes coming up. So last time we all met in person, we talked about the able-bodied adults without dependents. This is known as ABOD. And so we talked about all these changes that were coming. And so now I'm here to tell you that we have a tentative date of when we're going to be implementing this, which is June 1st of 2026. So just a reminder for what is the able-bodied adult without dependent federal rule. So this imposes a 3-month time limit for food assistance unless a participant meets the work requirement, which is 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month, or if they qualify for an exemption. So if someone doesn't meet the work requirement or if someone doesn't meet an exemption from this policy, they are going to be subject to receive 3 months of CalFresh within a 36-month period. So that's a 3-year period. So CDSS has proposed this implementation timeline of June 1st, 2026. We are not going to implement until then. This is not a final decision, but that is where we are right now. We just heard at the end of last week. This is the proposal of where we're going to be headed with this. And they have determined that this will give us sufficient time to be able to train staff and to update our statewide system change, which is the statewide system that all counties in California use. It's our statewide eligibility system. So we have to get everything updated in that system so our case managers can create proper case documentation and determine eligibility correctly. So if this is the case, if we are not going to be implementing until June 1st of 2026, this is for all new applications beginning June 1st of 2026. So what that means, if you apply on June 1st or later, our case managers are going to be screening to see if you meet an exemption from this rule. Or if you're working, they're going to determine if you're meeting that work requirement, which also means you will not be subject to this 3-month time limit. For ongoing households, we are not going to be looking at implementing this until a participant's next recertification. So beginning June 2026, if I'm an ongoing household and I don't have my recertification until, let's say, October of that year, I will not be screened for an exemption. I will not be limited to this 3-month rule until I am due for my recertification. So this is a little bit of a staggering rollout. So that is the proposal right now. Looks like in the chat, people are saying that they're happy there's more time. Yes, I agree. Yay. Very happy that we can kind of delay this. And we will hopefully be able to give you another update at our next quarterly meeting when we meet you in 2026. And so I will hand it over to Monica, who is also with DSS representing CalFresh.
Good morning, everyone. In addition to providing some of that updated information about ABOD, we did also want to touch really quickly on some non-citizen eligibility changes. The state has let us know that they do have a tentative date in mind for implementation of this, though it passed federally in July. For the state of California, the date that we are tentatively looking to implement the non-citizen changes is April 1st, 2026. So with HR 1, it limited eligibility to a narrower group of non-citizens that fall within one of the following categories. So it would be non-citizen U.S. nationals, lawful permanent residents or LPRs, Cuban or Haitian entrants, CHEs, or individuals who reside in the U.S. in accordance with the Compact of Free Association COFA agreement. So that includes lawfully present citizens of the Federated States of Micronesia, Republic of the Marshall Islands, and the Republic of Palau. So this would be the category of qualified non-citizens that would be eligible under the new HR 1 rules for CalFresh. Non-citizen eligibility criteria implementation. So the goal in terms of rollout would be that all new applications would be screened in accordance with these changes effective for 1/26, and then ongoing households would be at their next recertification also beginning for 1/26. So similar to the ABOD rollout, Someone would not be subject to these changes mid-period. It would be looked at their next certification if they're an ongoing household, or if they're newly applying, it would be all new applications beginning for 126. At this time, I do see that there's a question of if we know how many people this might affect in SLO County. At this time, we do not know exactly a number, but we do know that it does eliminate a lot of previous categories that had been approved, which I see is the next question. So the lawful present citizens who are not LPRs will no longer be eligible for CalFresh. So that would include asylees, refugees, parolees, individuals who had their deportation removed or withheld, conditional entrants, victims of trafficking, battered non-citizens, are certain Afghan nationals who were granted parole, and certain Ukrainian nationals that were also granted parole within the last couple of years. So it is reducing the categories of non-citizens who are going to be eligible to CalFresh significantly. And then I believe these categories that are losing eligibility also unfortunately would not be eligible for state-funded CalFresh, which is also known as CFAP. But at this time, it's unclear exactly how many SLO County residents this would affect. We'll hopefully know more information at our next CalFresh Alliance meeting, and we'll be sure to share it at that point. That's all we have for DSS. Thank you.
Okay, this is me. Thanks DSS, that's super helpful to know, and it will be really helpful to know once there's some numbers attached to that. We're also on the public health side monitoring and kind of using your data as a benchmark for us to understand Medi-Cal eligibility changes too. So thanks for staying in touch about that. My name is Jen Miller. I'm the Health Promotion Division Manager at the Public Health Department. And health promotion encompasses what used to be food security and nutrition education, was called CalFresh Healthy Living. That program, as you know, went away on October 1st. As a result of HR 1, it was eliminated in the federal budget. So we are now providing support to just wind down that program and try and figure out how public health can continue to be at the table promoting food access and food security without funding. Health promotion also includes WIC, and that's the Women, Infants, and Children program, and I'll talk about that in a second. In the middle of us losing our funding, we also experienced a federal government shutdown, as you know, and so at the Public Health Department, we have a public information team that we asked to help us amplify this message about all these people that were experiencing CalFresh benefit disruptions as a result of the federal government shutdown. We wanted to help get the word out that we could direct them to the food bank, and the food bank was, had quickly mobilized to make themselves available. And so we worked with DSS and the food bank to develop some messages for PSAs. In total, we had 189 PSAs air across 7 radio stations, and we had multiple, we aired them in English and in Spanish, and then we had a few different radio talk shows that also did some interviews on it. And it reached about 25,000 people, and all of the radio stations donated that in kind. So that was pretty neat. And then we also had some of our staff, I think Paulina's on this call. She helped support the food bank responding to those calls at the SLO Food Bank, trying to triage getting people the food that they need. Next slide. So shifting gears to WIC, during the budget realignment process for the county, we needed to reduce, it was kind of the perfect storm. We had local budget reductions that were compounded by federal budget reductions. And as a result, WIC needed to close 4 of their 7 clinics. And one of them was the Paso Robles Clinic, which was our busiest clinic and most expensive. And so we've been closely monitoring our WIC participation to see what the impacts are. Right now, a lot of WIC appointments can be done over the phone, and about 90% are held over the phone. So that has helped. But we tend to see WIC caseloads that mirror the CalFresh caseloads when, with the exception of students and those dips. We are concerned, however, that the changes to eligibility for other benefit programs, like CalFresh, like Medi-Cal, and the discussion of public charge, that's just more present in how people are thinking about using public benefits, that's going to chill the number or reduce the number of people that are actively applying for WIC. There are no proposed changes to eligibility for WIC. We're hearing a lot about CalFresh eligibility changes with ABOD, with non-citizens, et cetera. That there's not a work requirement for WIC. It's all based on income. It is not, and whether you're pregnant or have a child under age 5. There is no proof of citizenship to participate in WIC. And but despite that, we are seeing a lot of people who are undocumented unenroll from the program. And at first we thought our participation looked pretty flat, but we're starting to see some decreases, and it's unclear what the cause of that is, but the majority of them are undocumented. So that is concerning to us. Public charge has an effect on us, whether it's official or not. The chill effect is still being felt. Next slide, please. Before I talk about farmers markets, I wanted to make sure that I close the loop. We were able to reopen our Paso WIC clinic in the middle of November, so about a month ago. And we're super stoked about that because it continues to be our busiest clinic. In order for us to afford to do that, we got really scrappy and co-located with the field nursing team. So they serve a similar population group. And so we have about 1/12 of the space that we had previously, and that has allowed us to keep our doors open in Paso. So if you know folks who, or if you all could help us get the word out about our WIC clinic in Paso reopening, that would be much appreciated. And then finally, expanding access to local foods through WIC. So as you all know, CalFresh can be used at farmers markets. WIC formerly had a program where 1 month or 1 season a year, it was just in the summer, WIC families could use vouchers at the farmers market. And they got and the total number of benefit dollars that would go to local agriculture was up to $30,000 per year. They CDPH state WIC has added a QR code to all of the WIC EBT benefit cards. And we are working actively to enroll farmers into this program so that they can accept WIC dollars. Once we can get all of the farmers participating, this could generate up to $100,000 per month in federal money that goes directly to farmers. It also gets WIC families shopping at farmers markets and eating healthy local food. So we are really excited about that change, and Paulina is working hard to get farmers enrolled. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jen, for all that, and thank you to you and your team, like Paulina, for everything that you do. Switching over to the SLO Food Bank recent activity. In October, we hosted our CalFresh Application Assistance event over at Silver City Mobile Lodge in SLO. The event itself attracted around 30 attendees with 7 successful applications submitted, as shown in the photo at the bottom left-hand corner. To maximize our participation, we conducted an in-person outreach within the community and collaborated with mobile estate managers who then helped us distribute flyers and event details throughout the entire mobile park. Beyond the application assistance itself, this event served as an important touch point for current CalFresh recipients as it addressed their questions and concerns, particularly regarding the government shutdown. And in doing so, we provided timely information and reassurance during this period of uncertainty. And then with the onset of the government shutdown, there were significant delays in benefits, which left many of our CalFresh recipients in a vulnerable position. Recognizing these challenges, we pivoted our strategy away from CalFresh events and then decided to prioritize informational outreach. This shift allowed for us to coordinate visits through, to our local farmers markets and other community events across the county in order to share food resources and to support our CalFresh participants or recipients. All this in an effort to meet our community's needs and to maintain strong engagement during this critical time. And then, as you can see in the photos down below, we tried to visit every farmers market, North County, South County, in SLO, answering any questions that came about, especially regarding CalFresh. And then as the year comes to a close and we prepare for the new year, we are focused on expanding our outreach and education efforts. So right now, at this very moment, we're in the process of developing CalFresh related educational videos scheduled for monthly release throughout the year. So these videos will cover a wide range of topics from program basics to addressing common myths and misconceptions aimed at increasing public awareness and understanding of the CalFresh program. We'll share them as they're created so you can pass them along to audience and clients as they become readily available. And then with that, I'll turn things over to Savannah.
Hi, everyone. So with discussions that we've just heard around AVOD, I think it's important that we talk about how we reach seniors because this is an audience that first under participates quite a bit in CalFresh and also has policy stability, right? They're exempt from AVOD. So that allows us to really focus on dedicating some resources to reaching out to this group. And it is a group that really needs some focus because only 12% of eligible older adults participate in CalFresh versus the state participation rate of 16%. So in San Luis Obispo County, we're below the state participation rate. And we are much, as a state, very far below the national participation rate for eligible older adults. So they could use some love, I think, in terms of getting them to sign up for CalFresh. Next slide. So who is this audience? These are folks who are living on fixed incomes. That can look like SSI, SSDI, Social Security or Social Security with disability, as well as other pensions. And so they have a certain amount that they can spend every month, and they cannot go beyond that. And I think also because of those pieces, that the income that they get, they often feel like they don't qualify for CalFresh, but can often actually be more likely to apply to qualify for CalFresh because of those things. They're highly cost conscious because of that, and they're skeptical of any offer that seems too good to be true, any offer that comes from a non-official communication. And that's, as we know, there's a lot of scams that target seniors, which has created a lot of skepticism. They also experience high levels of food insecurity. We know that at the food bank, for example, around 25% of the people that we serve are seniors. So there's a high level of need. They also have a lot of barriers, right, to reaching this audience. So many folks live alone, can be disconnected from services for that reason. Again, it can be really hard to build trust because of the skepticism that they have. There's also technology gaps, may not have internet, may not have a smartphone or computer, and need some additional help to use online systems that, although they make it a lot easier to apply, can actually be a lot more difficult for this audience. And then, of course, the transportation piece is another critical barrier. Getting people to the places they need to go if they cannot drive anymore. So those are some of the barriers that we're facing. Next slide. So how do we build trust, right? Because there's a high level of skepticism, and it's also really hard to reach this audience because they don't use technology, because they're isolated. So we can do that by going to the places where they're already investing trust in. That can look like churches, faith-based groups, senior centers, health centers or doctors that they attend regularly, libraries. These are places where they already have established trust. And by going through these channels, we can build trust with those audiences. And then also focusing on the hyper-local, community-based, in-person channels. This can be a real challenge with limited resources, right? Because we have to actually be there to build the trust. Seeing a face associated with the outreach is pretty important versus someone on the phone or via email. Again, because of that skepticism and because of the scams that often target seniors. Media-wise, if you have an opportunity to participate in media, we know that daytime TV has a high level of senior and older adult audience. So PSAs, the more you can get them scheduled between 9 and 4, you'll reach that specific audience. And then the other one that we've seen a lot of success with is direct mail. For many of the events that we've done, we've sent out direct mail pieces within a certain near radius to audiences that are low income. And we've seen that a majority of the people that apply are people who are bringing the thing that they received in the mail. And they're actually bringing it to show that they got it and that they use that to show that they should be there. So again, in making sure that anything that you send out has great branding, recognition from trusted sources. So for like CalFresh based materials, we've always put our logo as well as the CalFresh logo so that it doesn't, they know it's coming from a trusted source at the food bank. Next slide. Messaging also. Some techniques that can be used, especially with this audience, is avoiding anything that suggests that this is charitable or a handout in any sense. Sometimes in this generation, they can assume that there's a negative perception of someone participating in charity or receiving charity. And so, we want to frame it as something that has a positive benefit for the entire community if they participate in, something that they have earned by participating in the system for a long period of time, And then that is supporting their independence, which is, again, great for everyone, right? If they stay healthy for a long time and have access to the food that they need, that is great for them. It's also great for everyone else. Um, and then focusing on the ease of signing up and maintaining those benefits. What I've personally heard, and I know John and Jesus have heard from some senior folks, is that they tend to say, if I'm only getting $23 a month, is this worth it? Is it worth going through the process of trying to figure out an online system? And then if they have to like recertify, is all of that worth it if they're only getting minimum benefits? To which, we want to very confidently say yes, right? It's worth it. You can get a lot of bang for your buck, even if it's only $24. And then also talk about how it can be really easy to sign up. But again, that requires some work on our end to make sure that it is actually easy for them to sign up. And that can be by offering in-person opportunities, as we have done through our events. Most of the people that are signing up via our events are seniors. And then over the phone sign up opportunities as well, so that people, again, without transportation, have the ability to sign up from the comfort of their own home and do it in a way that they feel comfortable with. If technology is required, then again, offering that in-person help. And I think that's where a lot of our partners like you come in, because you have the opportunity to walk them through an online process that might seem too daunting and make it not worth it to apply. And then just some design pieces to keep in mind: high contrast colors to make it easy to read, matte paper to reduce glare, and then large fonts. And these are all just for materials that are directed towards seniors specifically. So with all of that in mind, these are some of the things that we have personally seen as a success through the targeting that we have done with seniors. But I think all of you work, even if you work with an audience that is different from seniors, I think there's ways that we can reach them through other audiences. So that might be like talking to families about caretaking. And we, for example, have talked a lot to people who care for older folks, moms and daughters, etc., who are caring for seniors. How do I get them to sign up? So I think these are some ways that even if you don't directly work with seniors, that we can kind of brainstorm around how do we reach and engage seniors at this point. So that brings us to our discussion question for today. John is going to break us out into discussion groups. If you can discuss as a team this question: how can we reach seniors through your work specifically? How can you apply this to what you do? Then we can discuss a little bit, then we'll come back and please select someone to share out from your group. So I think it'll pop you in automatically. Is that right, John? All right, bye, Carrie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
8-10 seconds.
No.
Oh.
I was just getting a juicy detail.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard like a collective no. That was perfect timing. All right, awesome, cool. I hope you guys had a good time and had some really awesome discussions amongst each other. Does anybody want to go first and share what they discussed with their group?
You can go first.
Go for it.
All right. So we had a wonderful discussion where we were trying to figure out some of the best ways we can help our senior members, and our general understanding was the um, the function of having seniors understand their role in food security, using local physicians, potentially to promote CalFresh participation, connecting with local grocery stores, locally owned, and how using CalFresh benefits those locally owned economies, and as well as participating at senior centers and doing presentations before application events to get the understanding of the program before applying.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. I was discussing that with Paulina and Andrea earlier, where when we had the Silver City event prior to that, we went to Silver City. We talked with some of the residents there, kind of picked their brain to see how they felt about us hosting such an event like that and answering any questions regarding like what is CalFresh. So I think that's a wonderful idea. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'll go next.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna just kind of summarize what our group talked about, and then if Joyce is okay with this, I want to let Joyce finish up because I had just asked her a really good question and I was excited to hear her response before we had to come back. So I was with Gabby from Tri-Counties and Joyce from ELF, and we agreed that there are two barriers that seniors face, and it's transportation and it's technology, which Savannah mentioned. So they think, and I agree with them, that it would be helpful to have application assistance events at the places where seniors go to the most. So doing these off-site events away from the offices in a place where they can actually get to is going to be the most helpful. And with that, training. So training of service providers. The people who are working directly with the seniors are the most trusted people. And so we need to train them on taking applications either through Benefits Cal or either on paper and helping them submit the application that way. And so I just want to pass it over to Joyce because I was following up with her asking if there's anyone in particular that she feels would be most effective in training them to take applications.
Okay, this is Joyce from ALF, and we have, a wide range of volunteers, and some are very comfortable with the computer system. Our file reviewers that take the applications, they have to learn a system that, I mean, it's not as complicated probably as the application used benefits CalWin, or whatever it is called now. Anyway, the online application to apply for CalFresh, but I think they would be very interested in providing that kind of support. Our thing right now is our facility is too small and to accommodate more than what we're doing right now. I mean, we are right now, like sometimes I come in the morning, I mean, late morning to work distributing in the afternoon. The morning crew's not even done yet, and they're running around sorting donations and this and that. But when we move to our new facility, and I will bring this up to those that are planning how we're going to organize that, maybe there'll be room for an extra interview room where if there is somebody who comes in, that we could have a volunteer, somebody who is comfortable with technology that's been trained. And I used to do CalFresh like back in the day. And I also did CalWin back when it was CalWin. So I'm very familiar with those systems. Not that there aren't probably nuances that I don't know about. So I'd be interested in trying to get that going. It just won't be for a while before I think we can even approach it. And obviously, I am not the end all be all for what we can do with our agency. And so I could mention this to somebody and they go, oh, no way, we're not doing that. But I know Tim Eccles, the board president, is very interested in like joining our different agencies together to support people, not just being individual, entities and stuff. So anyway, I've taken enough time.
No, I think that's a wonderful idea. I think that would be an amazing thing to facilitate between Alf, our organization, and Anna and her team to see if that's something that we can get squared away, especially once you move into the new facility, because I think that would be super helpful for our senior community.
Mhm.
So thank you guys for sharing that. Anybody else? I think we have two groups left.
I can go. So something that Andrea and I both said was reaching the greater community through outreach events, just because Andrea, she works with Eckerd, and they don't work directly with the older adult population, so she thought, just that outreach and having information to just kind of having it available. Right now, as you all know, public health had a healthy aging program or services where we work directly with older adults, but now at the moment that's not available. So one idea that I said is kind of educating WIC families. WIC families have grandparents in their families, so just kind of really demystifying any myths, and that older adults may also, qualify for CalFresh. So it's just kind of well-rounded education to the entire community. Not necessarily directly at older adults, but yeah.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Yeah, absolutely.
I can
Perfect.
try and summarize from our group. This actually didn't come up in our group, but I wanted to build on Paulina's point. Savannah had mentioned in her presentation that caregivers are a good entry point to older adults. And Paulina, I know you did a lot, and the Alzheimer's Association did a lot with supporting older adults. I don't know if there's an opportunity there. They might have a little bit more tech savviness to help support somebody that they live with or provide care for. We really like the idea of doing like a train the trainer for volunteers that are older adults themselves. So there's credibility there. They're like spokespeople. We we didn't talk about this, but I'm wondering about Meals That Connect, if there's opportunity for them to take a more active role in helping as assisters. I know they're having a leadership transition, but yeah, I think in general, we felt like the process really needed to be framed in a let us help you do the work, because asking an older adult to upload documents and do that on their own is just like a non-starter. And my last point is more a question than anything else, but does DSS have capacity to do like outreach events where we're going to where people are to do mobile enrollments? Because I think a lot of these ideas are built upon that idea, and I'm just curious if that's realistic.
So we do not have capacity to send our workers out for all these events. It cannot be our workers. We've tried through the last year in these ARPA events for recruitment, and we're strapped. The county is very strapped with being able to send people out. So I think that it is definitely necessary for us and where we are in staff development for CalFresh to train service providers on being able to take applications, because hopefully you all have more bandwidth to be able to potentially meet with people at the sites you're already working at. If you have this education, if you have this training, you're already on site, you can walk someone through an application rather than have to get our people, take them away from intakes and all kinds of processing of cases that we have to do. So we can provide the training if people will take it and be able to use it.
That's helpful. I also wanted to offer up that the public health department, at least for now, has a public information team that could help support. If we have trainings or PSAs or other materials, I think the food bank you guys do such an amazing job developing content and materials. We can help you amplify it.
Thank you, Jen. You're amazing. Yeah, I wanted to say too, like, I think we have all the capacity in the, we can communicate out that people should apply in many different ways. And I think it's just really important that the call to action is something that will serve seniors. And so I think that's kind of what we were talking around, that people can get application assistance. But if the call to action is sign up, we need to make sure that it's in a way that people can actually access, whether that's in person or phone calls. And so that's, I think, the piece that really needs to be hashed out most. I think we are at time, so maybe this is kind of a something to noodle on before our next meeting.
Yeah. With that being said, I know we're a little bit over, but I just wanted to thank everybody once again. I know this is a busy holiday season and you guys probably have a lot on your plate, so we appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts of being here. If you guys have any questions, always please feel free to reach out to us. And then within the next day or two, I'll be sending out a recording of this meeting. If you aren't able to open it or anything like that, just let me know. But we appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. We love you all. Bye, guys.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Bye.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.